Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Vinita. So, I'll be taking biology. And can I know your names and everything? Just what are you doing and all the attendees? Yes, please. Unmute yourselves and just give a brief introduction about like what are you doing and all.
Hello. Hi, Vinita. This is Tirupati Reddy here from UK.
Okay.
And yeah, my son is just completed 7th and is going to join 8th next year.
Okay,
So
okay, sir.
his name is Harshad.
Okay, sir. Okay. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. The next person.
Hello, Vinita.
Hello.
Yeah. I think I got an unmute again. So I just
Okay, okay. Yes, I'm going to start with the session now. Okay, this is the science session which we are going to start about mainly for higher grades, that is from 8th to 10th. Okay, and then uh, yes, so this is the session. Okay, the first chapter it's by the email which we are going to have. If you have any queries, you can just go on to this website, support@logiclabstech.com. And then this is the scan of the course content where you get all the information about the course content. And this is the scanner for registration. Okay. If you have any queries, you can just call and or else you can drop a mail to this mail ID. Okay. Okay, this is the screen which is visible to you. This is the class if which we are going to start for the higher grades 8 to 10. So the syllabus is biology, science, and all the related subjects which are related to science. This is the course content where you can scan the course content which you want to just look in for the more information. And this is the scanner for registering. And then we have the general information for any queries. You can just get into this mail ID. Okay, the first topic which we are going to start is about the control and coordination topic, which mainly deals about the control and coordinating system of the human body. The main control of the body takes place with the help of the brain, which plays a very major role, and all the nervous system also plays a very major role in control and coordination of a human body. So the control and coordination are brought about the nervous system, as well as the chemical control of and coordination occurs with the help of the endocrine systems. The main systems which work on this is the nervous system as well as the endocrine system, where we have it regulates all the systems of the body to ensure proper coordination and efficient functioning of the system. Okay, of an organism. So the main coordination system mainly works on the principle of mainly working together. So when there is control as well as coordination of a human body, then only the working system of a human body goes on. So if once the control and coordination is stopped, if there are no, so if there are no control and coordination which takes place, it's very difficult for a human body to exist. So that's the reason we need to have a proper control and function of the human body. So what is called as coordination? The working together of various different organs of the body of an organism in a proper manner. So if all the body parts work properly, then there is a proper communication between all the organs of the human body, as well as there is correct reaction which takes place to a particular stimulus. What is stimulus? Stimulus is mainly the reaction which you get, okay, which we are going to discuss in the next coming slides. I'll just tell you. The next one is okay. The next one comes the animal's nervous system, which we have. Humans mainly are able to perform the control and coordination process through the nervous system. How the nervous system takes place? It plays a very major role in the human body. The process of sleeping, or if you touch any object or change your path of the road, if you listen to a horn or a honk, that all these are the examples of being controlled by our nervous system, especially. The receptors send messages to our body system in the form of electrical impulses. Even we have some electrical impulses to the spinal cord, which are connected to the spinal cord, as well as to the brain through the sensory nerves. We have three different types of nerves: the sensory nerves, motor nerves, and the mixed nerves, where all the receptors will send messages to our body system in the form of electrical impulses, where it passes through each and every part of the body to the spinal cord and brain. The nerve system mainly consists of the nerve fibers and nerve cells, which help in transmitting or moving the information from different parts of the body to and from both the passages it takes place. The messages get transmitted through this nerve system are in the form of electrical impulses. So whatever messages we get, they are being transmitted from these electrical impulses, and we are calling a name with the nerve impulses, which mainly consists of the nervous system. So this is the main structure of the neuron. Neuron is called the basic structural functional unit of a nervous system is called as the neuron. Okay. So the neuron or the nerve cell is electrically excitable cell. So it is the main cell of the nervous system, and then that fires electrical signals called the action potentials. This is the structure of a neuron. The structure of a neuron, the main structure of a neuron is the nerve cell. The nerve cell is the basic structure and functional unit of nerve system is the neuron. So it is electrically excitable cells. It contains different cells, various cells in the neuron, structure of neuron, that fires the electrical signals which are called as the action potentials, which we have across the neural network. Across the whole neuron, we have various action potentials. So this typical neuron mainly consists of different parts where it is called a cell body. This is called as the cell body or the soma. All this is called the soma, and it has dendrites. These dendrites are the branched structures which are present at the endings, and then you have a single axon. This is the single axon which is consisting of a straight line or a curved line. Then we have the soma is a compact structure. You can find this as the soma and the axon and the dendrites. Okay, these are the dendrites excluding from the soma. So they just get connected with the dendrite. Dendrites typically branch profusely and extend a few hundred micrometers. So the passage is very long, where it reaches up to around micrometers in length. Then we have, it is an extension from the soma. So most of the neurons receive signals. So all the signals which are there are being received. These receive signals via the dendrites. So this is acting as a transport system to carry the nerve cells, messages and all. And soma and send out signals down the axon. So as it reaches the axon from the soma, it reaches to the axon and then it goes down. Okay. And the next one. The next important thing which we have to learn in this control and coordination chapter is about the reflex actions. This plays a very major role. Actually, what is a reflex action? Whenever you touch a hot object, you immediately remove your hand or any part of the body because it burns or you get hurt. So this is what happens. This is the mechanism which takes place in reflex action. What is reflex action especially? So reflex action is an automatic where nobody has to insist you, but you do it automatically, and it's an involuntary action which takes place, and there is a rapid response to a stimulus. Stimulus is the action which you do, and there immediately you have that response which comes out, which minimizes any damage to the body. So if you put your hand like that only for a longer period of time, so you may get hurt or it may get burnt, whatever. So to minimize that damage which happens to the body, it protects you. This reflex action is so, such as touching something hot, as I already said you. Reflex actions are therefore essential so for the survival of any organism, whichever organism it may be, they have to protect themselves. So that's the reason mainly reflex action is mainly helpful for. So there's a flow chart which is shown in the PPT on the stimulus. Okay, then it comes the receptor, then the sensory neurons will takes place, then it goes on to the relay neurons, and then the motor neurons come, then the effector, and then you respond. This is how it happens. Now there is action which takes place. Okay. First thing is, what will happen? You touch a hot object which is very hot, and the pain receptors reach the skin. Then it moves. After this receptors, then it moves to the effector, or the muscle in the arm. Whichever muscle you have it in the arm, it moves. Then it goes to the motor neuron. These motor neuron also plays a very major role. And then from the motor neuron, it goes to relay neuron. Okay. Relay neuron. This relay neuron will then send a message to the sensory neuron. This sensory neuron contains the spinal cord, central nervous system, and then the message goes to the brain. Then you just remove your hand from being burnt or getting hurt. This is how it takes place. And then this one is a jerk, knee jerk, which you have it. Okay. The steps which happen when we touch an hot object. Yes, it's already discussed. Receptor detecting the stimulus or sudden change in the environment. Okay. Next, you have the stimulus. As soon as you get the stimulus is received from a sensory organ, whichever sensory organ it may be, like your eyes, your ears, nose, or whatever, all the sense organs, then the sensory neuron sends a signal to the relay neuron. Okay, this is what happens. And the next third step which happens is the relay neuron sending the signal to the motor neuron, as I already discussed. Then the motor neuron will send a signal to the effector. The effector will produce an instantaneous response. Means there's a quick and immediate response which happens, like for example is pulling away your hand. So there are few examples where reflex actions takes place in humans, especially which we have the closing of eyes. See, there's a knee jerk which happens here, the spinal cord. Okay, and then you have the quadriceps muscle, hamstring muscle, motor neurons. All these will play a very major role, and then this mainly happens during unwanted things which we can get rid of from the environment. So we have the different examples of closing of eyes when a bright light hits our eyes. We cannot stay for a longer period of time keeping our eyes wide open when we have bright light which gets hit on our eyes. So we just keep on blinking our eyes. Next one is withdrawing hands or legs when we touch something hot or pricking. So when we try to touch a hot object or when we prick, so it's very difficult for us to sustain. So there is sudden withdrawal of hands or legs immediately. Then next one is when you have a nasal passage or through the nasal passage of any dirt particles entering into your nose. So what happens or your mouth, you just quickly have a quick response of coughing or else by sneezing happens. So this is what mainly happens. Okay. And the next one is batting of eyelids frequently. You just move your eyelids here. Okay. So there is batting of eyelids, which frequently happens. And then the next one you have is blinking of eyes. When insects come in contact with your eyes, you suddenly blink your eyes and then water comes out. So this is what happens in reflex actions. Next, rooting reflex in infants. Infants, small babies usually feed milk from their mother. So this mainly they eventually know what happens, like when they want to cry when they feel hungry and all that. So that is what happens. And they sucking reflex in infants, like automatically what they do is they just put their fingers in their mouth. So reflex actions takes place, suddenly closing their fingers. So this is what happens even in small infants. Next, grasp reflex in infants. Whenever you go to a small baby, near to a small baby, so whatever actions you do, automatically the same actions the infant will repeat. Okay, that is also an example can be given for reflex actions, where they do it automatically as soon as they see you. So next one is the reflex of abdominal muscles to contract upon any force to the abdomen, like abdominal muscles you have in the stomach, where you have many different digestive juices which are present in your stomach, abdomen. And then what happens is, when you feel hungry, automatically you can hear some sounds coming out from your stomach. So all these are mainly, you then just don't insist your abdomen to you know start producing sounds, but automatically it happens when you feel hungry. So this is what happens because of the reflex action, that is due to the muscular defense. So the muscles which have are present in your abdomen, they just relax and contract, and this happens mainly due to the reflex action. And the next one is the knee jerk reflex, is known as patellar reflex. What is patellar reflexes? The knee jerk, which you suddenly get a cramp, or you just want to jerk your knee and then you feel comfortable. So that automatically happens suddenly and instantaneously due to this reflex action. So when the patellar tendon is stretched, okay, there's a tendon which is present in the knee. So the tendon is stretched and the contraction of quadriceps takes place. So when there is contraction and relaxation of those reflex action, patellar reflex, then this reflex action takes place. This is what happens in a reflex action. This is the most important uh, thing which has to be kept in mind, is the flow chart, the reflex arc, and what all takes place. So in this case, mainly in this case, we need not be surprised that thinking tissues in our body consists of dense network of many neurons which takes place in this action. Means many neurons will act, as we already know that the sensory neurons, the relay neurons, motor neurons, all these neurons, all three together will play a very major role in acting of the reflex action. So whenever there are any sudden actions which happen, the reflex actions play a very major role, mainly to protect a human body. So to protect from the harmful conditions, especially. So this plays a very major role, the reflex action. Once the brain or the any part of the nervous system, like the sensory neurons or the motor neurons, are not working properly or not playing in action properly, so the complete nervous system gets damaged, or as well as the muscular system also gets damaged. This is what happens. Here we can see that the patellar tendon which is there, it also takes a major role in having a knee jerk, especially the motor neurons as well as the sensory neurons. So this is what happens in reflex actions. And the next which we have is neuron. Actually, neurons are many in number. For each neuron, these are the different these are the different cells parts which are present in a neuron. Okay. And the chemicals, we even have electrical impulses which produce, okay, they produce many different types of senses which reaches to the axon terminal, and then the message is being passed. Okay. And the receptors are usually located in our sense organs. So we have different types of receptors: receptor of touch, taste, smell, feel. So all which we can see, the sight. So all these are usually located in our sense organs. We even have gustatory receptors. These gustatory receptors are also present. So these gustatory receptors are also present in the tongue, which helps us to taste. Olfactory receptors are present to detect our smell.
परचेस करे, कुछ भी नहीं करे, नहीं हुआ।
Okay, so if you have any queries, we can continue. No, dear. Mhm.
Hello?
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 Hello? Yes, Nitesh.
It said that the host would like to unmute.
Sorry?
On my screen, it said the host would like to unmute.
You're asking me to unmute?
No, in the screen, it will show me a pop-up that said the host would like to unmute.
Yeah, if you have any queries, you can go ahead.
No.
Okay, fine. Okay. Now, the next one is we even have a scheme of nervous impulses which travel in our body. Okay, a similar synapse which will deliver the impulses from neurons to other cells or the muscles. The same thing which happens in case of sharing the message from the from the nervous system to the muscle or to the gland. The same thing happens when it moves from the nervous system, like from the neuron to a muscle or a gland. This is what happens. The same mechanism takes place via the electrical impulses. Okay. And the next one is, which we have about the nervous system, is the neuromuscular junction, which we have. I'll just show you 1 second. Junction means the joining point which we have. Okay, so this junction which helps, this is called the neuromuscular junction, where it attaches the cell body. This is the cell body, right? And then it attaches the dendrite as well as to the axon terminals. So this junction is mainly called the synapse. So this synapse acts like a neurotransmitter where the message passage takes place. Okay, and then we have the nucleus even in the center. Nucleus is the living body which is present in the nerve cell. This helps the nerve cell especially to pass the message from one cell to other cell, or else the cell division takes place in the nucleus especially. So this is what happens exactly in a neuron. And the next one which we have is the nerve cell, which is mainly present has a dendritic tip at the end. Okay, these tips also play a major role. The tips which are present also plays a very major role in dendrite, which it creates the electrical impulse. Whatever impulse is there, as already discussed, they mainly help in to create the electrical impulse. So this impulse will travel from the dendrite to the complete cell body. So this is, as I already said, this is the cell body. So it passes the information from the dendrite to the cell body and then to the axon. At the end of the axon, the electrical impulse will start to release the chemicals, which is very much important. So these chemicals help into pass the information from one cell to other cell, from one neuron to other neuron. Then there we can find the information being passed, and then the person acts on that particular action. Then the reflex action comes into place. Then we have touching a hot object is very urgent and dangerous sometimes. So then what to do? When it is very urgent and dangerous, we immediately take out within a second. When you feel that it is not too hot, when you can feel that my hand can sustain for a longer period of time, then your reflex action takes into action, but it takes little bit more time, and then the brain tells you that it takes a little bit more time, like you can sustain for a longer period of time, and then it goes on. Okay, this is what happens in a reflex action. Now coming to the nerve cells, in order to receive these signals which falls into action, the thinking part of the brain in the skull, it has to be connected to the nerves. Whatever thinking part of the brain is there, it has to be connected to the nervous system coming to various parts of the body. Okay, not only the brain, but the other parts of the body also falls in action when it gets connected. Okay, and then we have before responding to the action, a lot of mechanism takes place in the body, especially the brain. Okay, when the brain sends signal to this nervous system or to the nerves, then other parts of the body will take or will perform the action whichever it is needed. Okay, they will instruct even the muscles which we have here. We have a knee jerk, so these muscles play a very major role to move, actually to move in forward direction, sideways, so whichever direction you are, you just want to, then it moves, and then the nerves must carry the signal back to the different parts of the body. Okay, whichever nerves are present in that particular body part, it has to fall in action, and then it moves from one part of the body to other part of the body, or else from the brain to other parts of the body. Okay. Now, the next one is, how does the design of the body solve this problem? This is the most important thing which we have to know about. How does the design of the body solve this problem? Okay, then. Having to think about the sensation of heat. Okay, if you have the sensation of heat, if the nerves that detect the heat, it has to be connected to the nerves especially. So only heat touching objects whichever are very hot and then we just move our body, it's like you need to get connected to those nerves only. But no, it does not play a role in action in that way. But all the nerves which are present, like your sensory nerves, which play a major role of your sense organs, all the 5 sense organs which takes place, all have to get connected to the nervous system. This is the main thing which takes place. Nerves from all over the body will have a bundle. All over the body which are there, they will form a bundle, and then in the spinal cord, they have a bundle, they form a bundle in the spinal cord, and then they connect it and they get connected to the brain. Especially the brain has a very major role in transmitting the messages from one body part to other body part. Next one is the reflex arcs. Okay, the reflex arcs also play a very major role actually. The reflex arcs have evolved in animals. Why do you think it has evolved in animals especially? Because of the thinking process. Thinking process especially takes place in animals only. Okay, it may be human beings or the other animals, but we human beings have much more development of our brain. So our reflex arcs are mainly play a very major role in our nervous system. Next is the thing. Next one is, in fact, many animals have very little or very little complex neuron network which is needed for thinking, but we humans have a very complex system of the neuron which helps in passing messages, because many neurons are present in our body, especially the human beings, because of the thinking capacity which we have. Our brain has many number of neurons which play a very major role, because we need to think, we need to do many actions, sleep, eat, okay, other reflex actions also takes place. We need to work every day. So whereas animals, they don't have so many duties which or activities which have to be performed. That's why their nervous system is very little, whereas our nervous system is very complex. This is what happens. Okay. And then we have efficient ways of functioning in the absence of these processes. Okay, once the reflex arcs and reflex actions which do not work properly, our body might collapse. Few patients who fall in the hospitals, their nervous system is not working well. They have a problem with their brain also, because brain dead patients are called them so because the nervous system will not work properly and the functioning of the nervous system does not takes place. That is the reason they are called as brain dead people, where the brain does not work properly and then they fall sick. The nervous system and the activities are not performed well. This is what happens for a brain dead patient. Next. Okay, now if you have any queries, you can let me know and unmute yourself, or you can raise your hand so that I can clear all your queries. Yes, no doubts. Okay, fine. So you are very happy to address any queries on today's topic. You can send the mail to support@logiclabstech.com. Hope you have understood the topic. So the continuation of the topic will be given tomorrow, based on today's topic. The continuation will be given tomorrow. Okay. Okay, this is the course. You can scan this course to know the course content. You can just scan this, and for registration, you can just scan to this scanner. Okay. Okay, the first two sessions which are held today, as well as which will be which will go on tomorrow, are for free, and the third will be shared to the registered participants only. So the third session which goes on, if you register, you can just join the link. Okay, for session updated, you can join this WhatsApp community. Okay, all the sessions will be recording, and the notes will be available through this LMS Graphy. Okay, and this is the email ID. For any queries, you can just have this mail ID. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.